Hello, boys and girls. My name is Mike Kelly, Real Illusion Forum, and my email is mike@kellytown.com. You're always welcome to write me, and I'll try to do my best to answer. I'll always answer. I just may not have the right answers for you. So, somebody from the forum asked me about this, and I thought, I actually have to just show this. It's too complicated to try to explain. So I'm going to try this. I have noticed in the past that my doing captures, the cursor doesn't move really well here, and things start slow. So I'll try to go slow so you can see the whole process. Basically, what this gentleman did is he bought an object, I think from some other site or something, a piece of clothing, and is attempting to bring it into Character Creator 4. So we're going to show that process, show the pitfalls and the downfalls of that process, and so let's see how that works. So first of all, I want to actually replace this because this is not the way Kevin comes in normally. If I do a file, just new, and just start over here, I'm going to bring Kevin in. So the clothing item looks like a male's clothing, so I'm going to just bring Kevin in. So this is Kevin, CC4 Kevin. That's a standard. Everybody has this. And here's how Kevin comes in normally. So now we're going to bring this item. It's an OBJ. There's another reason I don't like this is that as a general rule, FBX you want to bring in because you will be able to get more of the textures easily. OBJs, as a rule, don't have any textures, any bump maps, any normal maps, or any of that sort of thing. So, so try to use FBX if you're going to. But we're going to bring it in as an accessory. You can actually bring it as a prop if you want to, too. It doesn't really matter too much because what we're going to do is convert it afterwards. So, accessory, and we're going to use this navy overall. Okay? So, navy overall. So, it comes in like this, and he says, well, how do I convert this to clothing? All right, the first thing we must do when we bring in something like this is to pose the character as close as possible to the clothing item that we're going to do. So what we do is go to where the poses are. And forgive me about CC4. I'm not a big fan of CC4 still. So I'm going to be a little awkward about some of the things. I just don't like the way they do it, but that's just me. So we're going to bring it in as the calibration pose. Okay, so I'm supposed to go slow so this all shows up. It's the calibration folder. Open that up. And as a rule, this open AUE4 works the best even for DAS clothing items and things to bring it in. So we're going to bring this into there. Oops, except I had the clothing selected, so we got to select Kevin, and we're going to pose him to that. So you'll notice right away it looks a whole lot better, but it's still pretty far off, and we want it to be as close as possible when we start applying this. We can use conform to make up for a lot of things, but we can't get it really good unless we get the everything lined up. So what we're going to do is, with Kevin selected, we're going to go in there and go to Edit Pose. And again, I'm taking this slow because I don't want the lag of my machine. I'm not sure why it's lagging. Maybe it's the 3090 video card or just so much data to move around in 4K. But in any case, Edit Pose we're going to do. So now we've got the Edit Pose controls. And what we're going to do is, if we're going to unlock the legs, okay? Unlock both legs. The reason we want to unlock the feet is that we're going to move the feet to kind of match up with this pose a little bit better. So I'm going to come down here, and you'll notice if I turn it that it's actually not too bad, but it's a little bit off. So we're going to take that foot and just move it, I think slightly back, I think works. There we go. Slightly back. Okay, that looks good. And I'm going to do the same for the other foot. You might say, well, Mike, why didn't you just mirror that foot? And I think that's because that one needed to move back and this one needs to move kind of slightly forward, but could be wrong. Okay, actually, I want to bend this a little bit more. Let's bend that. Whoops, no, not the feet. Not the feet. Oh, I've got, no wonder. I already had mirror on. Okay, I wonder why that looked a little different. Okay, I should have taken, this is, over here is mirroring the poses. So now I have mirror off. Now I can actually move this a little bit better and get this adjusted better. And I'm going to go and move it in slightly there, and move it back just a little bit more there. Okay. I think that's about as close as I'm going to get this. Oh, there we go. A little bit more. It's kind of tough because, as you can see, this isn't going to match up great to this, but we're gonna get there. Trust me. Stick with me on this. Okay. All right. So we're closer matched up. We still don't like this matchup of it, but we'll get to that. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is make sure that mirror is on now, and we're going to do that for the hands. You might say, well, Mike, why did you mirror the feet or not mirror the feet and mirror the hands? That's because the hands, this upper body pose, more fits this clothing. By the way, this is one reason I never buy clothing from outside. Daz has plenty of clothing for you. You really don't need to go anywhere else. And because it fits the Genesis figure, it comes in much more conforming than this stuff. Buying outside clothing is a pain in the ass to try to get it to fix. But in any case, we're gonna try it. So we want to straighten this out first thing. So you notice if I hit the key twice, First it goes one way and then it goes the other. I'm going to pull this arm down, and that straightens out the elbow. See, here's the problem: is this elbow is not straight. So we're going to pull it out. There we go. Straighten the elbow, and then we're going to move it up into there, and move it in. Okay, pretty good. Much better. And again, I'm not too worried about this coming out here, and I'll explain why in a second. But it looks much better from that standpoint. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do, and you can actually do these in different orders. We may still come back to adjust this, but I like the basic adjustment because what we're going to have to do is adjust Kevin himself. Kevin himself doesn't actually fit this clothing. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but this is why the Daz clothing is much better to try to do this process with, because it always fits the characters it comes in fitting. This doesn't fit. So the first thing we want to do where it doesn't fit is you can see that his butt just doesn't fit this. So we're going to go to Kevin. We got Kevin selected. And we're going to go into the morphs. And we're going to go to the old gluteus maximus. And we're going to scale that glute down. And you notice we scaled it down 100%. It's still poking out there because I'm telling you, Kevin is rocking some big ass. So what we do with that is we go down here to bake this. I've done this before on things, but if we bake the slider, it sets it back to 0, and now we can use it again and shrink that little hiney down. I'm going to bake that one more time. Shrink that hiney down until he's as flat-assed as I am. Well, no, I wish. I actually have more of the ass he has. Next thing we're going to do is his crotch. Well, this is definitely not safe for kids. Okay, we're going to, excuse me, we're going to do his crotch here. And they've got, I love the fact that they have groin. They have 2 groin scales. By the way, you may not have some of these. I have the morph pack that has, about 100 other morphs, or maybe 1,000. I don't know how many morphs it has. I highly recommend you get the morph pack because you're going to use a lot of morphs when you do this. And notice one thing is this goes scaling it up. This makes Kevin's package bigger. So what do we do there? Well, we just type in a minus. We click in this box here, type in minus, and we're going to shrink old Kevin down until even his best girlfriend would be unhappy. I'm going to shrink him down in both directions, and that's fine. I'm going to bake that in for old Kevin. So now Kevin is shrunk as much as we can shrink him. And in that area. Now, the other thing is the chest area. You'll notice Kevin's chest doesn't fit this. Again, this piece of clothing was pretty badly designed, but it's designed for someone obviously a lot flat-chested. So we're going to go down, and we're going to change the chest scale. Whoops, sorry. Can't do it that way. Let's change it to chest. Is it depth, maybe? Yeah, there we go. Chest depth, and I'm going to bake that again because I want to depth him out again. Okay, there we go. Okay, and you might say, Mike, but if I do this, I'm going to end up with a flat butt and a flat-chested guy that I don't want. That's okay. Once you get the clothing to fit, then you can also fit it to any other character, and it will automatically adjust itself to fit to that character. So we'll be able to put it on somebody that's got a much larger butt than this present Kevin does. And I might actually do the same thing for his arms, because I think first I might try adjusting the pose a little bit more now that I've shrunk him down a little bit in that direction. Actually, I'm gonna adjust his legs. His upper legs are also. Oh, I know what I need to do too. Let me before I forget. One of the things about being old, folks, is that you have to do stuff as it occurs to you, because if you think about it later, you're screwed, because you'll never think about it later. His arms need to be longer. See, notice his sleeves are hitting that there, so we're just going to adjust his arms longer. And notice that makes the sleeves now look a lot better there. So longer arms. And now what was I doing with legs? If you can avoid this, do not get old. I can tell you that's the worst thing in the world, but getting old just really sucks. Okay, so we thinned out his legs. Again, remember, it's not important that we're ending up with a model inside here that may not be your ideal model, because we're going to fix that later. And I think he needs a longer neck. I think that's the problem with this neck issue here. So let's go into... Was that being the body? Now let's do this. Let's go neck and search for the whole thing here. Actor, come on, neck scale. All right, neck length. Neck length. Yeah, it could. Kind of a little silly, but again, once again, I cannot repeat this enough. The idea is to make the clothing fit and not worry about the character, because of it. And I'll show you. I promise I'll show you. Okay, so that's not too bad. We'll have to move his head a little over in that direction. Let's try the neck scale too, though. I don't think his... yeah, there we go. Thinner there helps. I need to adjust the way his neck is sitting here to fit better. Okay, and I don't want to spend all day on this, because I think you guys will get the idea. Let's go to arms here and get rid of neck. And arms strong. I don't want that. Arm thin. Let's make him thin arms. And again, remember, we can always bake and make him thinner and thinner. And you might say, well, why don't you just make him so thin you don't see anything? Yeah, well, you don't really want to do that either. Actually, I think now if I adjust the pose, his arms are going to be fine. All right. Let's say I've done enough of this. I baked him all. I got whatever I wanted here. I'm going to repose him a little bit more and see. Once again, I have the mirror options, so whatever I do is going to affect both sides. And I have this hand, so I'm going to pull it longer. Why is that pulling him down? Oh, I might have IK on. Hang on a second here. Let's try this. Got to watch it sometimes. What have I got? I really don't. Okay, vertical pose alignment. I'll turn that off. Maybe that'll help. No? Why is this not working? Can I tell you how much I hate CC4? And I will do this in CC3, except then you'll, those of you that don't have CC3 will be pissed. But honestly, I still like CC3 a whole lot better. There. Why is this not? Should just drag this down properly. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm not sure what the dealio is at with. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. Oh, and the head. I was going to do the head, wasn't I? All right, let's screw around with the head a little bit. Just doing his... that's not bad. Okay, I'm going to be satisfied with this. Again, it just depends on how much work and effort and time you want to spend with this, but that looks pretty good. So now we want to take this piece thing. Remember, this piece is actually set as an accessory, and once again, you can make it a prop too. I probably should have done something with the front collar, but I'm impatient. So now we go and we're going to change it to transfer skin weights, and we're going to make it into. You can use the default for most things, so I'm going to use the default and apply this, and don't expect to see anything. All this is doing is setting up the weights. It's not going to adjust anything yet. But now we go into conform. Oops, didn't work. Where's conform? Gosh. I hate CC4. I absolutely hate it more than you can imagine. Where did conform go to? Modify. Overall skin. All right. Cloth, conform. Ugh. Okay, now you can try a number of things here. The first thing I would always try is to calculate collision, because that calculates most of the rough things here, and we'll get, I don't know, maybe 70 to 80% of your problems out of the way. And it looks pretty good, actually. Didn't look bad. You might say, well, Mike, you can see his boxers. Yes, but obviously you don't want his boxers to be in that scene, so you're going to get rid of the boxers anyway. So eventually you won't have those. So that's not too bad. We can do a few other things, but honestly, at this point, I would be satisfied with this, because what you're always going to do is you're going to hide. You're going to go cloth settings, and you're going to go ahead in the overall skin, and you're going to auto hide the mesh. And what that does is, theoretically, although it doesn't always work well, it's going to hide the parts of the cloth and skin that are under whatever item is being selected there. So you can see now he looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. And honestly, that would be okay for me. But I want to show you something. And this is, again, such a cautionary tale about buying things from outside. Because you have baggy pants here, if you had bought this in DAS, what we would recommend is, before you export it, to make the legs way apart. Why, you ask me? Why is that so important? Well, I'm going to show you. Because if we take old Kevin here, and we go to content, and we go to pose him in one of these checking poses, checking pose, and we'll do the boxer. You'll see that while his upper body is fine, look at those legs. Now, I've got tutorials on my site that will explain how to deal with this, but honestly, this is a PETA that could have been completely avoided if this clothing was in DAS, by simply importing it with the legs very widespread. And then you won't have this problem. What's happening with this problem is the bones on this leg are being attached to these verts here, and they're shared by this, so they're vice versa. So you'll go in and you'll have to edit this. And again, look at my tutorials on how to do that. But it's just a pain in the ass. And also, the other thing I would demonstrate to you is that if you look at this, this thing is way too dense. I mean, it really is not designed for animation. I suspect that when it was bought for, for a still shot or something. It's not an animated piece, because if you go here, the first thing we would definitely want to do is polygon reduction. And look how dense this thing is. Enormously dense. And I'm not going to do this now, because, actually, I'll try it. Just be aware that this often crashes your system, particularly if you have something this dense. I'm going to use the recommended settings, because sometimes changing something else really just makes a problem. But we'll give it if it disappears, actually, before that, I better save this. Let's save this project as OBJ test. I know better than that. Honestly, when I'm working on my own projects, I save so often it would make you sick, because as I always say, it's like the dentist that says, you ask the dentist, do I have to floss all my teeth? And the dentist says, no, of course not. Only the ones you want to keep. And my people, when I used to work in IT, they would say, do I have to back up all my data? And I'd say, no, not at all. Just the stuff you want to keep. So I would definitely back up repeatedly, because I don't want to lose my work. So we'll try this and see what happens. And I'm going to do this because I'm going to apply this to another character. And at this density, it's just ridiculous. So again, you would never want to. Oh, that's much better. But even so, and see, the problem is, you might say, well, Mike, now it's less dense. Yes, but it's very, very badly designed. If we go into this again, you'll see that if we do a polygon reduction, and I don't want to do it twice, you can see that it's not designed well at all. So yeah, it's not quads, it's tris, and it's just, again, can I tell you again to buy stuff from DAS? Anyway, all right, yes, get rid of my email. Sorry about that, guys. So anyway, let's pretend that we're really happy with this. All right, if we're happy with this, and we're going to go in and we're going to save it as clothing, you have to be in the right folder in order to save it as clothing. We go to save, and we'll just call it overalls. Okay, now we have overalls. Now we're going to load in another character, and actually we didn't even need to save it to do that. But let's load in something. I think we can do it in Actor Core. I don't really use Actor Core. Yeah, we'll load in Toon Goon. No. Let's just replace the character and see what happens. If that doesn't work, we'll load in the outfit on him. So clearly, oh yeah, okay, that didn't work. So clearly, this guy is. Oh wait a minute, the actor core. I don't think you can load clothing on the actor core. Again, not a big fan of actor core. I would never use them, but it just happened to be in there. Let's see if I can find another character that may have. I have a ton of stuff in my own in CC3, which I actually like, but not much in here. Let's see. Oh, we can load Kevin again, I guess. Just this Kevin, CC4 Kevin. Yeah, let's replace all. Anyway, my point is that no matter what you do, I know what I can do. I can load in Kevin, and then I'll use some morphs to help with. I'm sorry if I sound so completely out of it, but it's been a very, very long week or two for me. Okay, we'll go into boy. I don't even have all my morphs in here either. That's amazing. Just so many things are not here. Did I mention I hate CC4? But let's go into, okay, here we go. We'll go into that. We'll do Barbarian. Barbarian's fine. Or how about Dwarf? Dwarf is both small. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now, if we have Dwarf and we go to our custom clothing and we come down here to wherever that saved it. There we go. And we apply the overalls to him. You can see, now remember, you can see the clothing that's underneath, which we would get rid of, but you can see that it's adjusted to as much attempt as it can to this ginormous character, even though we modeled it all on that much smaller character. Now, with a character this extreme, you'll always have to make some adjustments with clothing. You'll have to go back into Conform and do stuff. That's just what happens with an extreme character like that. But hopefully this answers the gentleman's question who emailed me. And again, always welcome to email me, mike@kellytown.com, and I will do the best I can, or I will end up with something like this. So either way, we will see you on the forums.